What's going on, guys? Jesse from Sledaddicz here. So as promised, we're going to start doing our install videos for the Cardo Packtalk Edge. So in this video, we're going to install the Packtalk Edge on Mike's brand new BRP Oxygen Carbon helmet. We did a video overviewing this helmet the other week. We're super excited to test this out, but it won't be complete without our Cardo setup so we can talk to each other and listen to music. So let's get to it. Okay, so before we get started with the actual install, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of all the mounting hardware we're going to need for the Cardo and for the install on the Oxygen helmet. So first and foremost, we have our magnetic mount, which is what's actually going to clip onto the helmet eventually and has plugins here. This is for your speakers and this is for your microphone. We have the boom mic, which is what we suggest using. The reason is this other mic that it comes with looks like it's going to be more convenient in the Oxygen, while the boom mic is more convenient in like an open face helmet or a motocross style helmet. But we found with these microphones, this looks unchanged from our Packtalk Bolts, that it gets actually really quickly wet with condensation from breathing while you're riding, and it stops working. So we've been using the boom mics the past couple of years. We also noticed the quality of the boom mics are actually a little more high quality, a little clearer to hear. So we've had good luck with these, and we would suggest using those, or using the boom mic over this mic in really any helmet you're planning on installing this system on. What else comes in the package that you need? So you have your JBL 40mm speakers that are gonna get mounted in the helmet. You have these here, which are adhesives for your speakers if you need to stick your speakers in, depending on the helmet. In the Oxygen, we won't actually need them, and I'll show you exactly why. And we also have more adhesives that I'll actually use these for mounting the boom mic. Then you get two different types of clips. So this is an actual clip that would clip onto the helmet. It won't work on the Oxygen because there's no actual place to clip it. We use these on our Titan, and it might work on the Mission. I'll have to see when I go to install that. But on the Oxygen, because there really isn't a place to clip it, we use the adhesive mount that would just stick to the side of the helmet. And then also alcohol pads just to clean the helmet before you stick anything on. So let's get to the actual install. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually remove the earpieces on the Oxygen. So the Oxygen has an earpiece on both sides that actually just comes out. It's Velcroed in. So there's one. And there's the other one. So I'm just going to put the helmet aside for now. So these actually come apart. So what you want to do is kind of bend them and peel this top part off like that, and it just pops right out. So this is hollow, and you have, this is the back part of it. You have some foam, and then you have the part where your ear actually rests. So if you notice, this part here has a circle of foam that can actually come out. So I'm just going to pull that out. It's adhered a little bit. Okay, so now that's out. So now, our speaker system, I'm just gonna take out this here to get everything untangled. So the first thing you wanna notice is that one speaker has a longer cord than the other. So the speaker with the shorter cord, that speaker is gonna go on the side where you mount the Cardo. So on these helmets, we like to mount the Cardo on this side. So the speaker with the shorter cord is going to go on this side of the helmet. These earpieces are symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which side you put them on. So we'll start with the shorter one. So I'm going to put that in here, just kind of pull this foam around it so it sits nicely in there. So now that's in there. You can then slide this back into here. It takes a little bit of fiddling, but you'll get it. You want it to sit nicely in there. I've done this so many times, and it still takes me a little bit each time. They don't make it super easy, but once it's in there, it's a really great fit. So Now that the speaker's in there, your next thing you have to do is put this back on. Now this, I have to say, unfortunately, is the hardest part. So what I suggest is you take a little bit of this speaker line and push it in here, just so there's a little bit of slack in there, like that, and then you attempt to put this on. So if you see, there's a little notch here that the wire can go in. So I'm gonna align it like that, and then hold that wire down here, slide the bottom part in, and now that that's in, you really just have to work around to get the rest of it in. So the material is pretty pliable, so don't be worried to stretch it a little bit. And that's basically it. So that is one speaker in. You can see they really make these helmets so they work perfectly with communicators. Now it's just flush in there. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other earpiece with the other speaker. Okay, so now that I have both speakers installed in the earpieces, now I'm going to go ahead and put these back in the helmet. Remember again, the earpiece with the shorter cord is going to go on the side where your Cardo's going. So for us, our Cardo's going on that side, so this earpiece is going to go on this side. So I'm just going to install those. Again, there is Velcro on the inside of this helmet. It's very hard to show on video, but these basically slide right into place and they stick on. Do the same on the other side. So now that those are in place, the next thing you're going to want to do, what I like to do is just remove this curtain just to free up a little bit of space, or the wind guard rather, not curtain. So this back one actually on this new helmet unzips. I'm just going to unzip that, free up some space here. Okay, so now that's unzipped. So because the communicator is going to be on this side, I'm going to pull this out. And don't be afraid to give it a little bit of a pull. There we go. So now that this is in place, now the next step I'm going to do is determine where I want my Cardo to go on my helmet. Obviously, we picked the side first. We picked the side before we installed everything, but now we want to actually adhere the mount in place. So because we're doing this on the oxygen helmet and we're using the adhesive mount, you want to mount it on the flattest part of the helmet. So we find on the oxygen that the best place is actually right about here. It's not perfect. There is no perfectly flat area, but like here close to the vent is probably the best area we've found thus far. So before we do that, we're actually just going to clip the actual adhesive part into our mount. So let's see how this works. Like that. So basically this piece has to get pulled a little bit that way just to get it into the groove. And you hear that click in place. So now that's secure. So we're going to position this on the helmet right about here. But before we actually stick it down, I'm going to take my alcohol prep pad and just wipe down the area just to make sure it's clean. On this helmet, you really don't need to because it hasn't been worn yet. We'll let that dry for a minute or so, and once that's dry, we'll go ahead and adhere that mount on. Now that it's dry, I'm going to peel off my adhesive stickers. The nice part is that I'm noticing now is on the Packtalk Bold, it was one adhesive. Now they split it into two, I guess, to allow for a little bit of bending. So as I mentioned, we're going to stick ours right about here. So I'm just going to find a nice flush area right there. Hold that down. And that is in place. It's not going anywhere. We've never had one of these fall off. Okay, so now that's in place, the next thing we're going to do is wire up our speakers, connect the speakers to here, and organize the wires a little bit, and then close the curtain. And the last thing we're going to do, actually, we're going to install the microphone. So I'm just going to unravel these cords here. So this is what's going to plug into your speakers. So here's our plug-in. Clicks in nicely in place. Let's throw that all in there. So what you want to do, same as how I did it on these the earpieces to put it in, is sneak a little bit of this wire in here just to give a little bit of slack when you're putting this back on. And then we're going to go ahead and put this on. Make sure it's going to get pushed in a little bit, but you want it to have decent amount of slack just so the wire doesn't actually get pinched. And you basically have to play with this to get it back into place nicely. Okay, so that took me a little bit of fiddling, but eventually you get it in. This is the hardest part of the install, is getting this, this back on. So once you've got that back on, we're gonna just tuck in some of these wires, but actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we tuck in the wires, we're gonna wire up the microphone, and I'm gonna show you where I like to place the microphone on this helmet. So the one thing I've learned with putting in the microphone and working inside this helmet is the more visibility, the better. So this pops out with Velcro. Take that out. We're gonna take out this whole side piece here. The Velcro's out and has snaps. 3 snaps and some Velcro. Throw that out. Don't throw it out, just put it to the side for now. And now we have a nice big space to work in over here. So our microphone is going to go roughly here. The arm of it is going to go here, and then the microphone is going to end up about here. The first thing I'm going to do is just find the exact placement and put some Velcro down for that. So that's actually what I use these pieces for. So I'm going to put this in the only place really that I can, the space in between the 3 snaps. Because you don't want to interfere with the snaps, or you're not going to be able to get the piece of helmet material back in. So I put this right roughly there, right here, in between snap 1, snap 2, and snaps 3. And now, once that's in place, I'm going to take my boom mic, and that is going to sit right there. So it sits there. Now with that in place, this one over here, you can move this one and place it wherever you want. So I usually like to move it close to the edge of the microphone, and I'm going to use another piece of adhesive and stick that down, and I'll show you guys exactly what that looks like. Okay, so now I have the Velcro here, which I showed you, and then I also have Velcro right here. So I'm going to put the microphone here, and then you can adjust the microphone here depending on where the helmet sits or where the microphone sits when you're wearing the helmet. So the one thing I did want to show you guys is how to connect this. So remember at the beginning when I showed you there were 2 connections, one for the speakers and one for the microphone. So right now the speakers are already plugged in, and we should have this wire here, which is to the microphone. So I'm just going to hook that in. That clicks in nicely. Now that's in place, and we're going to put the microphone in place there. And this piece that I was trying to show before, you can put that anywhere on this on the microphone wire or the microphone bendable wire. And I'm going to put this roughly where this piece of Velcro is here, and then click that in place. So that's where it is. Clip there. And there. And now basically all that's left to do is neaten up the wires underneath some of these helmet pieces, just so you don't see any wires, and put that side piece back on here that I took off. And besides that, you're done. So let's just go over how I do that. Again, it's going to be pretty difficult to show just because of how tight this helmet area is, but I'm going to try my best. So the speaker wires we'll deal with afterwards, but basically what I like to do is tuck all of these wires under here. Again, it's not a perfect science. It all depends on how the piece clicks back in. The main thing is you don't want to cover any of these snaps here, just so the actual foam piece can get back on. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. There's one snap. There we go. That one's in place. And now we're just left with one more at the front, at the bottom here. There you go. That one's in place. And now everything's covered up. Now the wires at the back for the speakers, I have a trick for that. This piece back here kind of lifts up and tuck all the excess wire in there. None of this is a perfect science. This is just how I've been doing it for years. And I find that it holds the wires and they never come out. Because the last thing you want is when you're putting your helmet on and off is to have to like worry about pinching wires. So now that's in place. And if you look in the helmet, I don't see any wires, do you? Okay guys, so that's basically the install. Obviously this last part here that I took off on this helmet just zips back on. That's pretty easy to do. And besides that, and that's it. So thanks for watching this video, guys. If you have any questions about the oxygen helmet, feel free to shoot us a message or about how to install the Cardo unit, whether it's the Edge or the Bold or really any comm system. I'm pretty good with that stuff and I'm happy to help. And the last thing that I just forgot to do is this clips back into place. I'll show you guys that. And that's it. So that's all in place. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. If you like that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the Sledaddicz YouTube channel, where we release content on everything snowmobiling. Also, hit that bell icon so you can be updated every time we release new videos.